Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Record Drums Online podcast, the podcast where I get to chat and interview session drummers, mixing and mastering engineers, and also music producers. In this episode, I had the chance of interviewing the one and only Adrian Hall. If you don't know, Adrian Hall is a fantastic London-based mixing and mastering engineer. I worked with him a few times, and so we had a chance of going through his career from the start, from his beginnings, working at Metropolis Studios, and then becoming a freelance mixing engineer. And I mean, if you don't know Adrian, he worked with Tori Amos, he worked for Depeche Mode, Shakira, Black Eyed Peas, the list goes on and on. And this episode is quite cool because if you're a drummer that has a small room where you have to record drums, watch this episode because Adrian shows us exactly how he records in his drum booth. He's got like a really tiny drum booth. And I've been there a few times, and the sounds he manages to get just from such a small space is phenomenal. So if you have a small space where to record drums, this is the episode for you. And as always, if you're enjoying this kind of content, make sure to subscribe, like, tell your friends, and that's it. All right, so here we go. Without further ado, here he is, Adrian Hall. Nice one. Here we go. Hey, Adrian. Thank you so much for doing this. Thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, mate, my pleasure. It's been a while. I know we haven't been in the studio together for a short while, but yeah, man, my pleasure.
Yeah,
my pleasure. Always good to chat drums.
Oh man,
drums and studio gear. You know?
Amazing. Yeah. I wanted to ask you first, like always the first question, which you probably done like podcasts before, so probably you know like how it works. Like is like the usual question at the beginning is like, how did you start in music? And you know, if you can give us like an introduction,
a brief history. Yeah. I mean, originally I was a drummer. You know, that was my thing originally. I wanted to be a drummer. You know,
I thought you were a guitarist. I was like,
okay, no. I play guitar now as well. I play guitar more than drums, to be honest now. But originally, yeah. Well, I mean, I did like classical piano. You know, my mother's Chinese, so it was you know, piano or violin. You know.
Yeah.
So piano it was, and then you know, I did all my grades, and then when I was 11, I got really into the drums.
Right.
But my mum was like, no, if you're gonna play drums, you're gonna learn properly. So I wasn't allowed to have a drum for the first year. It was all practice pad, and I grew up in Hong Kong, so I went to the lead percussionist of the Hong Kong Philharmonic to do classical lessons. It was all, you know, rudiments and
You won't see a drum kit there, right? It's just classical.
No, man, just rudiments and mallets and timpani and you know the whole classical thing.
The whole classical.
But he played drum set as well, obviously, and I was, you know, mucking around on drum sets in school. So it was the drums, man. That's what got me into music, you know.
Right.
So
man, if I knew before, I would have been a bit more.
No.
I was coming to your studio.
So I played drums, you know, throughout high school and got really into it. And then I went to Southampton University and studied acoustics, which is like an engineering degree. It's like maths and mechanical engineering and architecture, and you know. But I was playing in like the university big band. And I was playing in like jazz quartets and stuff around, you know, like we do the university balls, you know, stirring the soup with the brushes, you know, because you'd earn a bit of money, you know, supplement the student income. So, so I was doing all that. I tried to play in the university orchestra, but I was terrible. You know, counting 176 bars of rest.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
Then you have to play one note, and then when you miss that note, you just feel like so frustrated.
Exactly. So my friend was in the orchestra, and he kept trying to persuade me to come back. I was like, look, I don't know what's going on, man. You know?
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, big band, you know, big university big band, reading charts and stuff, and it was good fun, you know. And then I decided that I wanted to, like, I was all set up to be an acoustic consultant, you know. Like I had a Master of Engineering degree. I did 4 years at university, and you know I did quite well, and I had a job lined up and everything. And then I decided, no, you know what? I really like studios, and I want to maybe be a recording engineer.
Right.
And it was all.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
By this point, were you in Hong Kong or in the UK?
No, this was all in UK. Yeah, I came to the UK when I was 18 and went to Southampton for 4 years to do the engineering.
Yes. Oh yes.
And then went to London to go to SAE to study audio engineering for like a 9-month diploma, because there weren't many audio schools around at the time, and SAE, like they had a Neve and an SSL, which were like the major consoles at the time in all big studios. It was all 2-inch tape. Like Pro Tools was 4 or 8 tracks at that time. You know, it was really primitive Pro Tools. So yeah, it was all analog. So I did my training there, and then ended up at Metropolis Studios, where I kind of started out in the back room, and then I was there for 6 or 7 years. So 7 years, 6.5 years. Like starting out as the assistant, you know, in the back room, and then you become an assistant, then become a house engineer, and then you go freelance.
Right.
So been freelance since 2004. You know.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a bit of a journey, you know.
Yeah.
It's all the fault of the drums. Drums was what inspired me to get into music, for better or worse, you know. So
what an instrument, man! What an instrument to be involved in. Do you find it's like one of the hardest to record and mix, or I don't know?
Absolutely, man, absolutely, because it's not, you know, like obviously multiple microphones. There's always problems with drums in terms of frequency response or the sound of the instrument and where you're trying to get it to go to. Do you know what I mean? It's not that recording other things isn't challenging, but if you think about, I don't know, an acoustic guitar. I mean, acoustic guitar is not easy to record either, but
no.
But generally you have one microphone or maybe two, and you point it at the instrument, and as long as you're not doing anything stupid, it kind of sounds like an acoustic guitar coming through the speakers. You know,
there are less things that can go wrong with the acoustic guitar.
Whereas if you put a load of mics on the drum kit and then push up the faders, it's going to sound like a mess until you do stuff with it. You know. So it's definitely a hard instrument to record. Just, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about that.
No, for sure. I wanted to go back to Metropolis Studio, because you worked there for a while. So I just how was that experience?
Oh man, I mean, it was the glory days when there was still reasonable budgets. The budgets were quite high. So I was there from 97 to 2004. So, you know, people were still buying records. You know what I mean? Like, especially when I started. By the time I left in 2004, like Napster had happened and MP3 downloads, and the industry was on a bit of a downward slide. But when I started, it was great. You know, it was loads of musicians coming in. Like Metropolis is a massive complex, so there's 2 recording studios in the bottom floor, and then there were 3 mix rooms on the top floor. So, you know, the first band I assisted, like they finished recording in one of the rooms downstairs, and they moved upstairs to mix, and so I kind of went with them, and we saw the whole thing. And there were loads of great drummers coming through, you know. Actually, the drummer in that first band, the band was called Bully Rag. They were like this kind of metal pop reggae band, but they're really good, quite progressive, you know, like big name producers and stuff. But the drummer was a guy called Steve Barney, who after Bully Rag split, he went on to drum with, I think his first big gig was like Atomic Kitten, but then he played with Annie Lennox for many years. He played with Jeff Beck. I saw him with Jeff Beck and Terry Bozzio at the Royal Festival Hall. You know, so the guy had chops as well, you know. And then he went on to be Anastasia's touring drummer for like 10 years, and you know, loads of big.
I think I know what you're talking about, actually.
Big bald head, big guy.
Bald head.
Great drummer,
like you know? Bit of beard.
The goatee thing going on. Goatee, you know, awesome drummer, and that was like the first session I was working on. You know,
that's so amazing.
There were so many good drummers coming through. I remember, like one of the highlights for me was Andy Newmark. I recorded him twice.
Oh my god, did you? Oh man.
Who, for those that don't know, he was the drummer on the early Sly and the Family Stone records. You know, I think he was the only white guy in the band.
Yeah, he was like, he replaced Greg Rico, who was the first drummer, and then he came from, he played the famous album. What's it called? Is that In Time?
Fresh, I think. Fresh.
Sorry, Fresh.
Fresh. He's definitely on Fresh. I think he might be on one of those as well. But Andy, man, I mean, like I remember it was one of those things where he had his drums set up in the booth, you know, and I walked in to mic up the kit because I was, you know, and the engineer on that session actually. It was for a French TV advert. Right. But I walked in the room and it was just like the groove coming off the drums was just beautiful. Yeah. Like it wasn't playing loud. It was all, you know, was all in the wrist. There was none of this kind of, thing going on. It was
loud.
Just this beautiful groove coming off the drums, with flow of 16th notes, and I was just like, damn,
right.
I could record this with a dictaphone. It would sound great. This
is one of the things as well that when I hear like sound engineers and recordings, they always talk about how it's all about how easy it is to record drummers that are really good. Like no matter what you do, it's just like I can't remember now the name of the recording engineer, but he said like, once I couldn't get good sounds, like drum sounds. It wasn't my thing. And then Jeff Porcaro walked in the room, and I was like, it was amazing. So.
I mean, I think it's a combination of different things. It's definitely, the way they tune the drums and the way they hit them, but also the internal dynamics. Do you know what I mean? So, like, Porcaro's not going to come in and bash the hi-hat and play the snare drum really quietly. Do you know what I mean? Like, the internal dynamics will be balanced, so where the hi-hat and the snare drum are where they should be. So then the sound in the overheads is balanced, and the sound in the room is balanced, and he's not beating the crap out of the hi-hat, so there's no loads of hi-hat spill in your tom mics or it's all balanced,
How do you approach like a session when someone comes in and you're like, oh man, this is this drummer, it's a great drummer, but it's not, I mean, you kind of have to figure out a way to make it work in a way, right?
I mean, it obviously if it's a playing timing thing nowadays with the editing tools in Pro Tools and Logic, you can fix certain things. So that's, in a sense, you don't have to worry about that. When I started, like, one of the first things Pro Tools would often do is edit drums, but back then it was like the drummer had to be good, or the producer would have to have that awkward conversation with the drummer and the band, go, you're a great drummer for the band and for live, but we're going to get a session drummer in to do the album. So in a way, the modern editing tools have saved that embarrassing conversation.
Yeah, I remember there used to be like fixers, right? Like there used to be like drummers that used to come in. I had one of my teachers in Italy used to fix for sessions, all those bands. Yeah, you just say, we'll go in. Of course, you didn't get any credits, you'll get paid, and then
there was some of that. Yeah, ghost players who wouldn't be credited, just paid. Yeah, absolutely. But that happened a couple of times, but not too often. Do you know what I mean? But I think obviously now you can fix the timing, and you can trigger samples and whatnot to make it more consistent. But still, like, a really great drummer will come up with a great part, and dynamic builds and intensities and the whole thing, so it shapes the song. So that kind of thing is maybe a little bit lost in the fact that there aren't so many session players around now.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, one of my pet peeves is producers who want to play everything. I mean, I am one of them occasionally. Do you know what I mean? Like when there's no budget, like for me to hire musicians who are better than me, then I'll play the drums or I'll play the guitars. But I don't want to do that. But I see records where, without naming names, like, people have the budget to hire great players. And if this was LA in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you'd have, Steve Gadd, Jeff Porcaro, whoever, Jim Keltner on drums, and there'd be Leland Sklar on the bass, or Nathan East, or whoever. You'd have these amazing musicians that you'd get in to play on pop records.
Sure.
And that doesn't really happen these days. Even big artists, like, you go, you know what, a great drummer or a great musician, whoever, a great guitar player would have done something much more interesting on name any album you like by a popular large artist, and you kind of go, actually, the musicianship has suffered by not having those session players and that tradition, I guess. I don't know if it's a producer's ego thing or
This is so interesting.
I miss that, like,
absolutely. Do you reckon also the quality of music has gone down a little bit because we kind of, as you were saying, doing a bit of, I don't know, I just feel like when I hear records from 70s, 80s, 90s, it was kind of you could hear that the musicianship was good,
Absolutely.
Maybe even on a song that is not great, but it's just like all of a sudden,
it's a pop record, like, I mean, without meaning to sound like some old guy going, shouting at the clouds, music was better in my day, I mean, it kind of was. I mean, maybe not songs and songwriting or whatever, but in terms of musicianship and stuff that enabled you to listen to a record over and over, and the craft of musicianship and what a great session player can add to a record, I've got Joni Mitchell records that have, from the mid 80s that have Peter Erskine on drums, or Porcaro playing on all kinds of sessions, obviously, or Steve Gadd, these guys. Even if you're playing something quite simple, often there's just that little bit of flair and flavor they bring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes when you have somebody like that in the room, it takes the track in a different direction. I've seen it myself. I've been part of it. Where you have a bunch of musicians in a room, they're working on a song, routining it through with the artist or whatever. Even if it's mapped and gridded, everybody's on the click track, like just what they choose to do with it and where they take it. When everybody can play off one another, oh, okay, the drummer's going to do that, and then the bass player's going to, and then the keyboard will move up the octave and do this, and the guitar player, and it's an unspoken thing, and it just happens in the room, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is.
As opposed to getting the drummer in, who'll play to the click, and he'll play it safe because he doesn't know what else is happening.
What else is happening?
And then the bass player will come, but the bass player doesn't really know what voicings the keyboard player is going to do, so he's going to play it safe and stay down there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very interesting. It's very interesting point. Like, it's funny how I just like seeing all those players that they used to be there all the time in studios, every day. That kind of era, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just like the kind of more whatever acoustic pop singer-songwriter thing. I mean, Michael Jackson. Amazing musicians, guitar player. I mean, Eddie Van Halen playing guitar and whatever, like crazy collaborations of phenomenal musicians in the room, because Quincy Jones, his producer, understood what they bring. Quincy wasn't trying to play everything, even though he probably could, what I mean? It's like,
let's bring the best for sure. Nice. Going back to Metropolis, So you had like all these amazing rooms, right? I just wonder, like, how do you figure out when you walk in a room, like, let's say it's not Metropolis,
anyway,
and you have to record drums, right? What's the first thing that you do, that you kind of figure out where to place the drums and all that? Just is there?
Well, usually you can hear as soon as you walk in a room how reverberant it is, how live it is. But you can clap your hands as well, get an idea of how slappy it is, or take a snare drum in there. Hit it in various places in the room. I mean, I guess the first thing is, what kind of drum sound are you going for? Do you know what I mean? So if it's actually a dead tight 70s kit, then obviously a reverberant room is going to create a problem, and you have to damp it down, get the carpets out and any screens around the kit and that kind of thing. Going the other way is easier. Obviously, if you've got a tight room but it needs to be a big drum sound, there's ways and means that you can, obviously artificial reverb of whatever kind, so it's kind of easier to start with the dead room in a way.
Okay.
The interesting thing about that I found is, like, if you're going for a big live Bonham kind of sound, then you kind of want big live open sounding drums. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if you're going for the big bombastic thing, your toms will have less damping on them. Your kick will have less damping. Snare might have no damping. And the room kind of helps that. All those harmonics and everything ringing together gives you part of that Bonham thing.
Big sound,
if you put really tight damped drums into a live room, it's not quite the same. It kind of doesn't explode like it kind of should. If you get a tight damped tom, it's still going to be quite tight to the close mic, you know what I mean? So
sure,
obviously you get the room reverb, and the same thing the other way. If you're going for a dead tight drum sound, then obviously in a small room, then if you have big wide open drums, then you hear every little ring and rattle, and it kind of doesn't work. So it's almost like in a smaller room you need tighter drums.
But you had like so like for example, because you have your studio there, right?
Yeah.
And you have a lovely. I love the drum booth that you got there.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to record there, and I was wondering, how do you go from like Metropolis, massive room, and then switching to like a quite tight space?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'd record in the booths at Metropolis, obviously, like they had the big rooms, you know. But like I say, sometimes you want the tight, punchy, dead sound. So, you know, on the big sessions that were, you know, when I was working there, sometimes we'd have two kits. It'd be two entirely different setups, you know, so that you could even do that thing of, you know, okay, it's the tight kit in the verse and then the big kit with the big room in the chorus, you know, completely different drum kit.
Oh wow,
you know?
Okay.
So I mean, that's quite an extreme approach, but you could do that, you know, or you'd have the, you know, the tight booth kit, but then the doors would be open to the main room. You'd have extra mics out in the main room.
Okay.
So in when the chorus hits and you want the bigger snare, you just push up the room ambience, you know.
Sure.
But sometimes it'd be two different kits, you know.
Nice.
I mean, in my room, I can show you if you want.
That'd be lovely. Yeah, actually.
Let me figure this out because I've got a little camera on a stick here, so the picture's going to go a bit crazy till I figure it out.
It's all good.
So
there it is. There's
the. Oh, let me grab my laptop. Try not to drop anything. So. There's the kit. Is that the right way around for you? The picture?
Yeah. I can see everything.
Okay, cool.
Cool. I love the cymbals and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's dark in here, so I think the focus is maybe a bit off, but
that's all right.
But yeah, I mean, it's nothing special really. You know, it's a.
What was you use for like a mic setup?
Okay, like... so yeah, I mean the kits. I mean, it's a 5-piece. I like a 5-piece. I grew up with a 5-piece. Pearl Export was my first kit, 5-piece. You know.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, this is not a fancy kit. It's a Premier Artist Maple from the 90s. I think you can get them for about 400, 500 quid now.
Yeah.
I've actually got another.
Is that a brass snare that I see there?
That is.
That's probably 400 quid by itself, right?
Well, new. I mean, that was a bit of an extravagance because new that's a Gretsch Bell brass. New, they're about 1,500 quid.
Whew, okay.
Yeah, I got it for 800 because there's a tiny nick in it, but it's nothing.
Nice.
So I mean, I don't know if you. Yeah, I mean they're cast snare drums.
Mm-hmm.
So
amazing. I
mean the thing weighs about 25 pounds.
Wow.
It is ridiculously heavy.
Wow. Wow.
But I've got, you know, various snare drums. You need different snare drums. I used to have a Ludwig 402 aluminium shell as my main snare. I still use that a lot. But it's the Gretsch Bell brass on there at the moment, which is a beautiful drum. Beautiful drum.
Love it.
6.5 inch depth. You know.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. Siljan New Beats, classic hi-hats. I've got various hi-hats, but New Beats. Okay, what is that? Steve Gadd, Steve Gadd Crash, custom session. Nice. Some kind of hand-hammered Sabian.
Yeah.
17. That's a K Constantinople 22, which is
the best.
Beautiful. Yeah. Quite dark, quite a dark sounding ride, but actually we should talk about cymbals and quality of cymbals at some point.
Yeah.
But mics. So I don't know if you can see, but the kick drum is right up against the wall there. I've got really low room. But there is an outside mic. You won't be able to see the inside mic, but it's on a Kelly shoe.
Okay.
Do you know what that is? Like one of those.
No.
It's like a thing that's suspended.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
It's like it's like a U shape kind of piece of metal.
Yeah.
You suspend the kick drum mic inside it. So basically, you can't move it once it's set up. It's in there. You know.
It's in there.
Yeah. I can talk about mic choices, but.
Sure.
So, well, let me just show you, and then maybe I'll put the laptop back down instead of holding it. That's. Can we see that more or less? It's a Telefunken M80.
Nice.
Which is a really nice drum mic. I prefer it to a 57. Toms are Audix D2s and a D4 on the floor. You know, nothing elaborate. Hi-hat, EQG 451B. Quite cheap. And there's one on the right that's not plugged in as well.
Nice.
And then overheads. I don't know if you can see them. Oh, yeah, there you go. So Austrian Audio, OC18. So there's a pair of those, which are lovely. They're like a 4-on-4. It's a really nice 4-on-4.
Nice.
And then in the middle, I don't know if you can see this rig, because like around the kit, I've got no room for mic stands. So all the mics,
they're all like
coming off these overhead beams. Yeah. So that's the right hand overhead.
Nice.
Another OC18, and then can we see it from underneath?
Yeah,
Coles.
Yeah, there we go.
4038. Yeah, there you go. You can just about see it.
Yeah.
It's dark.
Mono.
Yeah. Mono overhead. Yeah. But if I come back here, you'll see the whole picture of the kit. So.
Yeah, beautiful.
So yeah, you can kind of see the Coles there. So.
Yeah.
This makes my booth look bigger than it is. It's actually really small in here. So.
Yeah. No, I remember it is really small, but I remember one microphone that you have there. I don't know if you still have it. I remember last time you showed me this trick, and I was like, it was. No, it was a microphone. I saw the knee mic. It was there was a microphone next to on the side, and you use it as a room mic. Yeah, and man, you showed me something that blew my mind. It was like your room sounded. Like Metropolis, basically.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I'll show you the knee mic just for you really can't see it with the light, but that's an Omni. It's actually an Omni microphone.
Oh, okay, nice.
It's an Electro Voice 635A, but it's nice. It's nice when it's Omni because it's right in the middle, of the kick, snare, and the toms. Do you know what I mean? It's literally equidistant from all of them. It's just clipped.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the K&M little clamp.
Is it pointing up?
Yeah, well, it's Omni, so yes, it's kind of pointing up.
I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, it kind of really doesn't matter. But it's just clipped to the top of the bass drum there.
Is it this one?
It is exactly that one.
That one, yeah.
They're amazing. They're great.
Yeah. I think I bought it after I saw it on your drums.
They're great little mics. I mean, they're kind of lo-fi and crunchy and exactly what you want for a bit of crunch, So other mics I have, sometimes I have a green bullet at the back of the room that I sometimes use as another mono crunch mic, which is like about as far away from the kit as I can get. It's like the other side. So that's just pointing, But then in the corner of the room, I have a pair of AEA R84s.
These are new. I haven't seen this before,
Oh, no. If you were here, that's probably what we would have used for the rooms.
Oh, really? Okay,
used them forever and ever.
Really? All right.
So the idea with those is that they're figure 8, as most ribbon mics are, and you can't really see it, but basically the null of the ribbon is actually pointing at the kit. Do you know what I mean? So they're kind of side on. You won't be able to see it here really, but so it's not. I'm not pointing it at the kit. I'm basically pointing it away. Let me go through to the other room, and then we can talk about that.
Sure.
Put this down.
Because I remember, man, when you showed me that, I was like, wow, this cannot be your room. And then
that's the way to do it. Yeah. Let me put this back down. So the idea with those AEA mics. Is that all right? Yeah, that's okay. So the idea with the AEA mics is that they're so basically I'm pointing the null of the ribbon at the kit. Do you know what I mean? So I'm actually trying to capture as much of the room as I can. But then those mics get fed into a convolution reverb. So not like a digital algorithmic reverb, but like a reverb that emulates a real room.
Okay.
All DAWs have them. But basically I'm running it 100% wet. So I'm not using any of the dry signal from those mics. I'm just hearing the convolution of the room that I want it to be in. So whether it's like Ocean Way, Studio A, or I've been using Sunset Sound. Like there's some reverbs from Sunset Sound now. So basically, I'm putting my room mics into those rooms, which is just a joke because you solo the room mics and you bypass the plug and you go shed in Sutton. Open up the convolution room. Oh, Studio A, Ocean Way, Los Angeles. and it's quite convincing. It's quite convincing. I mean, there's no reason, there's no reason why you couldn't do that with the overheads as well. Do you know what I mean? I just find that because what I'm going for is a room sound to have some distance on the mic.
Yeah.
I just get a better result with, but for listeners who don't have that many channels or don't have that option of separate room mics, you could do essentially the same thing with the overheads. Feed them into, as long as it's 100% wet, then you won't have phasing problems.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Hopefully.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, because basically, like, I think like a lot of drummers that they try to do the remote thing. Sometimes, we kind of have like small space and just a small room, which is literally fit the drums. And when they're asked like, "Hey man, can I have room mics?" Or they're like, "Well, there's not much we can do with the." I have a friend actually. He kept asking me like, "Hey man, I just don't know how to get a good room sound out of this room because it's so tiny."
Difficult.
Yeah, and I guess like this is like a really cool trick to...
I mean, my booth is 6 foot by 12 foot and it's quite dead. And I mean, sometimes, it doesn't happen often where I record drums here and I send it away to somebody else. Usually if I'm recording drums here, it's stuff that I'm going to produce, and I end up mixing it. But when I've sometimes sent those room mics through 2 different Convolution reverbs. So just for them to have options, and maybe if we've been monitoring with Ocean Way Studio A, then I'll print it.
Okay.
But that's quite a big room, so maybe I'll have like a sunset sound kind of room, like a shorter room.
Yeah.
Just and like honestly, they sound great. I mean,
It blew
particularly
my mind
by the time they're compressed and manipulated and EQ'd. It's like it really does that thing of bringing the room to life. Bring the drums to life. The one thing I will say in a small booth is, and I've noticed it because I used to be a drummer, is the drums are really loud because the sound's not going away from you; it's coming off the walls and right back at you. It's so bleed and spill can often be a problem.
Yeah,
because the sound is coming off the wall that's right next to you and then back into the back of the snare drum mic. So what I have done is, I didn't show you, but there's like treatment on the roof. Actually, you can see it up here.
Yeah. I can see
that stuff. Just panels with some foam on it, like a proper acoustic foam. So there's some of that above the drums and on the side walls, either side.
Right.
So like where the hi-hat goes into the wall, actually there's foam right there. So you're trying to kill those early reflections. Because that can be a problem.
Nice. Speaking of actually tuning, I wanted to ask you this, because did it ever happen to you that you had a recording session and the drummer didn't know how to tune his drums, and how did you deal with that? Did you walk in and like, I used to play drums? And,
usually,
Okay.
And I mean, it's more difficult when it's a session drummer because they do their thing, but those guys can usually, they usually know how to tune stuff. With a more inexperienced indie band, then usually the drummer and I have had a conversation beforehand, and I usually take like a snare drum or 2 and a couple of different sets of cymbals. Like kind of get out of jail kind of equipment, just in case the drummer stuff is not great.
Okay.
Then toms and kick, you're kind of limited. I can't bring a whole kit every time I do a drum session.
Yeah, of course.
But there's. I mean, it does get tricky in terms of politics, obviously.
Of course.
If the drummer's really bad, and the drums themselves are bad, then you're up against it, But like it's surprising how much you can get away with if your snare sounds good, then your kick sounds good. Like toms, I mean, you're gonna EQ the crap out of those and process them anyway. It's really like the stuff you hear all the time, obviously, in any groove is a kick and snare. And cymbals, hi-hats and crashes,
Yeah,
like,
you wanted to actually talk about cymbals. Yeah,
if you have crappy cymbals, that's an unfixable problem. You know what I mean? I'm sure, your listeners will know, you know what I mean? Like, you can't make a cheap budget cymbal into a K Zildjian or something really posh, Peist, Masters, I never know how to pronounce Peist.
Oh, yeah, I never know if it's Peist or Peisty or.
I know.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah. If anyone at Peist is listening, please
yeah.
let us
know. Send us a message.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to talk about was like cymbal choices, because I've noticed like a real trend recently with drummers towards like darker, mellower, washier cymbals. Like, I mean, I've got a K Constantinople right on there at the moment, you know, which is a dark, mellow cymbal, which is great when it's musically appropriate.
Yeah.
But it's not always what you need, particularly if it's a more dense arrangement or anything with like heavier guitars. Because the thing I've noticed, and I do a lot of mixing. Mixing is what I mostly do. There's been a real trend towards, you know, darker, washier stuff, which is cool if it's like an acoustic thing and there's space and it's like, you know, or it's a trio thing, John Mayer or whatever. Then you can get the cool sounding dark, you know, K type cymbals. But if you've got walls of guitars to cut through, you know, the old A Zildjians or the brighter Ks, K Customs or whatever, you know, they were kind of higher, they had a real sizzle at the top. And as that's kind of, if you mellow that out, suddenly you're bringing all that cymbal, you know, like the last chorus when you're going,
yeah,
you know, that kind of suddenly becomes a, and it's right where the guitars are, right where the vocals are. Yeah, and you've got nothing up the top, and it's all kind of this mid-range 3 to 5K.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, actually, you know, your cymbal choice affects the mix, you know, in a massive way. Because if your cymbals are out of the way of that guitar drive, then suddenly everybody got their own space, you know. I'm not saying go out and buy the brightest, most horrible cymbals you can find, you know. But sometimes you know, nobody wants to use A Zildjians these days. It's like not exotic enough, you know.
Yeah.
There's a reason that people use those on records, you know, and in some cases they work, you know, and other times, you might want a darker, mellow cymbal, you know. So I think some drummers get a bit like, oh no, these are my cymbals, you know, it's my sound. Well, yeah, but is it musically appropriate to what you're doing, you know? And that applies to everything, you know, snares, hi-hats.
For sure.
You know, for sure. You know, and being able to tune snare drums as well and to know what they can do. You know, so that you tune your snare for the song. I'm not talking about like pitches. I actually don't get into that kind of, you know, tuning for actual notes kind of business.
No, but if it works for the track, I guess, like if it fits, like that snare fits the track, then you're kind of like, okay, you know what? Something musically appropriate, just not what you want to play. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just bought this thing, man. I just want to use it now.
Yeah. You know, I think there's more of an awareness of that these days, to be honest, because I think a lot of drummers record themselves, or there's the whole awareness of music production. And what goes into it, because everybody has a laptop, everybody records themselves, right, to some degree or another. Whereas, you know, 20, 30 years ago, like drummers didn't really know what happened in the studio. It was all a bit of a mystery. They come in, they play, and then they leave, and then, you know, 6 weeks later there'd be an album, and you know,
whatever.
Whatever, man.
So,
So I think, you know, it's just to be aware of that, you know,
for sure,
to know your gear, to know. You know, like part of the reason I used to use the 402 a lot is because it's immensely flexible. Do you know what I mean? Like, as much as I love that Gretsch Bell brass, like, because it's got die-cast hoops, it's not easy to do that trick of like dropping a lug or two. And getting a weird lower resonance, a lower you know. Because the die-cast hoop makes it stay level. You know, whereas the triple flange, the traditional triple flange hoops, you know. You can do crazy things like drop a lug or tune one lug up or tune half the drum down. It's all wrong. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like if you're going for a sound,
it works.
And like I say, the technically inferior triple flange hoops actually allow more. You know, and I used to feel the same way about like Ludwig acrylites. You know, because they've only got 8 lugs. Like the cheaper student snare drums, they had 8 lugs instead of 10. So with 8 lugs, when you drop a lug, it makes much more of a difference than with a 10 lug drum.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So sometimes the cheap drums,
Yes.
You know, I don't have an Acrolite. I really want an Acrolite.
It's right there. I'll bring it next time. I'll bring it next time.
Right, they're great.
Yeah.
I've got 6 snare drums, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So
I'll bring all mine. I've got I got a few. I'll bring them all next time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll have a snare drum lineup.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some nice snares, you know, but
I remember that 402. That was amazing. I played on it. It was,
great.
Great.
And the thing that I used to use in the 90s, which I've used it on a session recently, was a Pearl 3.5-inch free floating brass piccolo. So, and the thing with the Pearl ones, because of the free floating system, you normally think 3.5-inch brass piccolo is going to be really high and ringy and whatever, but somehow there's still a load of like beef. Guts to it. Yeah, right. there's a bit of beef to it, even though it's tuned high. So yeah, I used that on a session recently. It was great. You know,
amazing.
Drum.
Yeah.
Like I think it's got the same head on it that I had in like the late 90s.
Man, no, I'm trying to get one of those. Actually, it's been a while. I need to get one of those now.
Yeah, I want to bring back the piccolo snare drum, man.
Yeah. I tried. I tried the Yamaha one, the Questlove one. I tried recently that one. Yeah, you cannot find it here in the UK. Like, I had to hire it from FX and for a session, and sounds, as you were saying, it was like
14 inch, or is it smaller? 13.
I think it was 14, but it was
14,
I can't remember the exact if it was by 3 or by. It was something crazy.
Sorry, excuse me.
No worries.
Figure out who this is. You know what? I don't know who it is, so I can just leave it on silent. Sorry. It wasn't an obvious client, you know. Some clients I have to answer if they call.
Of course. Yeah.
They say jump, I say how high. You know.
No, I wanted to ask you as well about mixing, because man, I love the drums. I was listening yesterday about Tori Amos' work you've done.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. What I love is that the drum sounds, all the drum sounds. Of course, Ash Sohan, great drummer, unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
Ash on the live stuff and on the records that I've mixed, it's always been Matt Chamberlain. Who's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends. Ash did the last live tour. He's not on this upcoming tour, but yeah, he did. Okay. So there was a double live album, which is Ash on drums. Nice. He's great, obviously. But all the studio stuff is Matt Chamberlain, who's played on Tori's records for 25 years or something, you know.
Right. Yeah. But what I love is like when you make in your mixes, like the drums it pops out, like you hear like, because it's weird. There are so many textures, especially in Tori Amos' music. Like it's not. In fact, I wanted to ask you this as well, because you mixed a lot of electronic music, quote unquote, like
sure,
pop, Black Eyed Peas, Shakira, Depeche Mode, versus Tori Amos, which is more acoustically orientated.
Sure.
What's the main difference when you walking in, just like, I need to mix?
I think the function of the drums in all of those cases. I didn't mix Black Eyed Peas. I only recorded.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the Monkey Business album. But yeah, the others I have mixed. I think you still want to feel the kick drum in your chest, and you want a definition. Obviously the drums add rhythm, so but even in some of the more acoustic stuff that I've mixed, I like being able to feel the drums, like the weight of the drums, and I don't want it to be just a backdrop usually, unless you're doing something very soft and sparse, in that sense you're treating the acoustic drums kind of like loops and program kicks. You want the same amount of weight and intensity and punch. Obviously there's a natural variation, a drummer, unless you're using samples and have replaced every note, like there's a natural variation, so that's cool, but the function of what they do is the same. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like I'm trying to make my acoustic drums sound electronic, but I want them to have the consistency and the low end punch, like the low end transient.
Yeah. Is there a way, like, without going into too many details, but is there like a sort of an approach that you use when going for like that sort of kick sound?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's different than what anybody else does, so obviously, like, compression to give you that kind of consistency. So when you compress hard, particularly if you are compressing quite hard, then that brings up the bleed. So you might have to gate it a bit so that you're not getting loads of cymbal spill or snare spill into the kick mics. You know, I don't do anything different than what anybody else does. I mean, yeah. So I think sometimes I guess with compressors, like what I like to do is usually like a slow attack, fast release, so that you let the transient through, and then you're kind of bringing up the body behind it. So it's like, I mean, it's kind of classic SSL compression settings. It's 30 millisecond attack, 100 millisecond release, you know, ballpark. So that lets it through. And then if it's still too spiky, you know, usually you might do a kind of multi-band thing just to catch like those times when the drummer like really thumps the kick. And like, obviously, like when you hit a kick drum harder, you get more top end transient. You get more of that 3K poke, and less low end. So the idea of, you know, when you do a fill and then you really stamp on the kick drum on the downbeat, that's actually detrimental, you know, because you get all attack and no kind of low end. So sometimes you need something that will just tuck that in if the drummer's getting a bit enthusiastic on the fills and start stamping on the kick, you know. So it's just hard work and detail, you know, like to the extent that, I mean, obviously you can sound replace, you know, augment, you know, sample replace, which is definitely one way. If you do that, I don't usually 99% of the time, I'm not replacing, I'm just augmenting.
Okay.
So you still have the problem of if a snare drum is hit slightly off center and it's a bit ringy, or doesn't have the same depth as when the drummer's been consistently hitting it somewhere near the middle, then I might replace that with a better hit, or I'll get in there and automate EQs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because it's so easy to do in the box. It's stuff you couldn't do 20, 30 years ago.
Sure, yeah.
So, you know, sometimes I'll go, okay, you know what, that just needs, it's so quick to do. You know, automate, just, you know, tuck in the 3K, boost the 80 or the 100 just for that one hit. So your EQ just, you know, does that.
Okay,
just momentarily. You know,
for,
there's ways and means.
Nice,
then you're not getting into that sound replacement game, particularly where it's more acoustic styles of music. Where you're not using triggers, then you know you start to have to play some games like that.
No, it's amazing, man. Like the stuff which I was listening yesterday, I was like, wow, it just sounds literally.
Oh, thanks, man.
As you were saying, you know, you can feel it. You can really feel the. And,
I mean, well, with those guys, I mean, you know, obviously what they give you is really good. You know, Matt, you know, Matt and Ash, you know, So again, the consistency's there, but I mean, it's not like, it's funny, like, you know, I've worked with a lot of great studio drummers, and it's not that they're necessarily like that much tighter to the click or that much more consistent with the snares. But it's just like degrees, shades of it. So obviously they're never like wildly out and having to chase themselves and come back, you know. But you know, it's not like they're all metronomic, you know, far from it. But somehow they're just more musical when they drift off the grid and come back. They're not like, maybe, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're not immediately trying to correct themselves. You know what I mean? Where you get that kind of wavy thing that they're just kind of like, you know, drift back onto it. I don't know what it is.
They make it work with the music instead of just with the click, you know. Somehow, just
exactly.
like because
Exactly.
And is there you also mixed a lot of live albums, right?
I've done quite a few.
What's the difference when you mix like live drums versus studio drums?
Well, I mean, obviously. Live, sometimes you have to fix a couple of things, just nudge, you know, because there's no second take, obviously. So, you know, when the drummer has, you know, you can't move too much because, you know, it's a concert. So, you know, like you have to come in and out in the same place. But I might tidy up a couple of things. Consistency live, obviously, live people get excited, you know, start stamping on the kick and, you know, I mean, not the pros, obviously.
No, of course.
But yeah. I mean, sometimes bizarrely, particularly on slightly larger stages, if I'm mixing a festival or a show where like the drums sound are surprisingly dry. Like you'd be quite surprised, particularly because everybody's often on in-ears, so the on-stage volume is quite low, and there's no room, or if it is a room, it's a massive room, you know what I mean? Like, so actually, what the close mics here is actually quite dry. So you have in some ways less problems with room reflections and weirdness. You often have to add more ambience because if you think of the drums in whatever the festival hall, like the nearest walls are 50 feet either way. Like you're not getting any reflection, and any room sound is really late because it's way back in the hall. So actually, you're almost having to put them in a small room to make them sound.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like a bit more lifelike, as opposed to just having the close mics and then the hall sound. Some massive reverb. You know what I mean? They can feel disconnected.
Yeah, it must have quite a lot of phase issues or something like that. Just with if you have microphones that are so far away from the.
I think it's far enough away that phase isn't the problem. Do you know what I mean? What I'm talking about is that kind of disconnect between the sound of the close mics on the kit and then the sound of the mic in the usually back at the front of house or dangled from the ceiling. It might be 100 feet away, so you've got this weird disconnect between the sound of the close mic and the reverb,
right?
That sounds like it's
not part
of the same thing.
Yeah.
So often I'm putting shorter room reverbs to kind of simulate the drums being in a studio or a smaller venue, short wooden room, maybe 1 second or something.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of the sound of the drums hitting the side walls and coming back at you, so that it just feels like it pops. Yeah, there's like a halo around the kit. And then obviously the room, the concert hall reverb or whatever, wherever it's been recorded, So it's kind of a different kind of problem.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like the drums can feel too dry without that. They're just so dry because actually modern stages are quite dead usually. Like I'm talking about bigger stages here.
Yeah. Arenas and
I mean, actually, it's actually more difficult to mix drums in smaller rooms. Like some of the shows I've mixed where the band have been at the Water Rats or Thekla in Bristol or whatever. Actually, that's harder because everything spills into everything else because it's so close. The lead singer's microphone is, 6 feet in front of the drums and pointing right at the cymbals.
Yeah.
So as soon as the lead singer moves out the way or goes over here or whatever,
bang.
That vocal mic is acting like a cymbal mic, So then that's a whole different thing. You have to ride the vocal mic in and out, like turn it down 12 dB when the singer's not singing, because otherwise suddenly you get all the cymbals,
Yeah. Oh my god, it's a lot of
it's actually in some ways it's actually more difficult on smaller stages. Every recording has its problems,
Of course. Yeah. Is there, speaking of recordings, is there any anything you're working at the moment that you could share, this up and coming projects that without spoiling anything? No.
I mean, in terms of drums and drummers, I mean, I'm trying to think. There's all kinds of stuff, but I'm not. I can't think of anything where it's like specifically great drummer wise. I mean, obviously the new Tori Amos album has Matt Chamberlain all over it.
Yes. Sorry, can I ask you? Was it recorded here in the UK or was it?
Yeah. This latest album is Matt Chamberlain. He went down to Tori Amos has her own studio in Cornwall.
Oh right.
So they spent time tracking down there. I wasn't part of the tracking process. So
okay.
But obviously I know Mark, who's Tori's husband, who records everything, and he's a great recording engineer. But Matt, like there's loads of loops and stuff on it, but all the loops are played. So it's him like playing on like oil cans, like massive, oil barrels, or bits of like junk percussion. And then some of the actual electronic stuff is him again. Like it sounds like a loop or a sequence, but it's not. He's playing it on pads, I think, or actually on the drum machine,
Right.
And the interesting thing about that is that it's not tight. Do you know what I mean? It's not tight. It is tight playing wise, but it's not metronomically perfect every bar. And sometimes it flams against the kick and snare, and like
it's great if it works.
Yeah, sometimes that's kind of cool. You know, not everything has to be obviously, if it's a audible flam and you notice it throws you out the moment, then obviously you can tighten that. But there's something about the played thing which I quite enjoy. You know, like sometimes, obviously, some styles of music you want everything to be hitting exactly the same every, you know, so you don't have phase problems and stuff. But so there's something to be said. It feels a little more human somehow. Do you know what I mean? When it's like your brain, I think sometimes with loops, when it's exactly the same every bar, your brain almost like doesn't get excited by that. It kind of know, oh, that's a loop, and then it disregards it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
There's something about, you know, playing it.
Human.
Small work.
No. For sure. Yeah, especially these days, everything is so perfect, and you know,
it's too easy to make it perfect, and perfection is not. It's not what it's about. You know what I mean? It's like perfection can be boring and predictable.
Absolutely. Yeah. We normally do this thing at the end of every episode. I don't know if you have time, but we do like a 10 non-rapid fire question.
Because, yeah. Because just grab my coffee.
Yeah. So first question is top 3 albums for best drum sound.
Oh man, that's impossible.
I know this is like impossible. The impossible question. But I always say this as a premise, just like as of today.
Just for the sound or the playing or just the sound?
Could be edit. I don't know. Up to you.
Okay. First one that springs to mind immediately is Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun.
Nice. Amazing.
Like the sound of the room, the sound of the aggression in the playing. That's Matt Cameron. Yeah, the drum sound on that's phenomenal. Like allegedly, there's some detuned overheads or something to give some weight. Right. I don't know. I've heard various rumors. The drum sound on that, in terms of like that modern rock thing, that's the one. Pretty unbeatable. I mean, there's the classics, you know, like obviously the Bonham stuff, Zeppelin, you know, for that roomy thing. Interestingly, like with When the Levee Breaks, a friend of mine had to recreate it like maybe 10 years ago for a thing. As you might know him. Have you spoken to Emre Ramazanoglu?
I did, yeah.
You just spoke to
Emre?
Okay.
Yeah.
Emre had to recreate that, and it's really interesting if you listen to When the Levee Breaks and you mute one of your speakers. Mute the right side, mute the left side.
Okay.
Because Jimmy Page or whoever it was, there's a delay going on, obviously, which gives you the kukum, gaga, kukum, you know, the double hit. But it's flanging or chorusing on one side only because of that. Right. So that's part of the sound too, man. Check it out. It's super interesting.
Yeah. I'll put it on now and just.
Yeah. Check out. I think it's the left side that's got the flanger on it, or whatever. Binson Echo Rec delay, I think, is what he was using. But it's different than the right. So anyway, trivial. Obviously the Bonham stuff, you know. Oh god, three albums is impossible. Man.
I know. Yeah, it's.
I mean, I'm trying to think what's particularly great. We've talked about that. They're both quite live sounding, aren't they? Black Hole Sun and Bonham. So, I mean, everybody goes on about Steely Dan, obviously, Asia. You know, that's hard to beat for that tight, dry New York 70s thing. So yeah, maybe that's predictable. I bet you loads of drummers have said Asia, right? That's so.
Just a few have said it. No, yeah. It's one of the best. So
yeah.
Number 2 is favorite part of your job.
Oh man, I mean, I like mixing. So that thing when you can finally get a track to come together. Do you know what I mean? You go, okay, this is what I've been trying to get to for the last 6 hours. And now it sounds like a piece of music as opposed to a collection of instruments. Yeah. That's quite satisfying. And I think that's probably... I don't know I mean, there's so many... So many, you know, God, I love doing this job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being in a room full of musicians. It doesn't happen all that often these days, but that thing of like, you know, when you got 4 or 5 musicians out in the booth and it's all going really well, and you can hear they're all listening to each other, and you know what sounded like a demo half an hour ago suddenly sounds like a record. Yeah, maybe that beats mixing. Actually, that's a great feeling. You know,
it is.
That's a great feeling, and you're there, and all you have to do is hit record, and it sounds amazing.
Beautiful.
You know, watching that come together, that doesn't happen so often these days, and that's pretty special.
For sure. Yeah. Sadly, but 3 is worst part of your job.
Singers are going to hate me for this. Doing backing vocals. Okay. Doing backing vocals. You know, it's like it's completely necessary for a record, obviously, and great backing vocals can elevate a song. But God, it's tedious. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, especially if you're doing like a modern pop arrangement. You know, you're doing at least 4 of each harmony in each section of the song. So you'll do, you know, there'll be 16 BVs in the verse and then 24 BVs in the chorus and a different 24 in the middle 8. So just doing those and like, oh yeah, okay, double track, triple track, quadruple track. Okay, next harmony. Right, start on that note. You know, okay, right, double track, triple track. That's like
too much.
It's fine, but it's like, you know, I'm not advocating for AI, but
for sure.
Damn, I wish there was a way, you know. It's dull. It's dull and completely necessary, you know. So.
Yeah. 4 is piece of gear you cannot do without when recording drums at the moment. Or mixing drums, actually. It can be also mixing.
Okay. The brutal truth is that I'm going to say monitoring. Because actually, like part of the game that I play now when I go to other studios is I don't take my mics. I used to take mics as a get out of jail free thing. But what I do now is I say to the assistant, okay, I want a pair of overheads and a pair of rooms and, you know, a mono overhead and then something in front of the drums that I can crunch and distort. You know what I mean? Like, you pick the mics. I don't care. You know, if I hate it, I'll get you to change it.
Yeah.
So it's part of a game. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You know, so that whatever the assistant's chosen to use an M80 on the snare, which is what I use, or they chosen to use a 57 or some exotic mic. What did I use the other day? Somebody put a KM84 on the snare, which I hadn't used the KM84 on the snare in maybe 20 years. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, nice. You know, so there's nothing that's like essential. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want mics of a certain quality, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody could go, Neve preamps, you know, they're nice. Sure, but I've recorded drums on Mackeys, I've recorded drums on SSL, API, whatever. There's nothing essential.
Yeah. Essential, for sure.
Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna, so monitoring to be able to hear actually what the drums sound like. I take my own monitors to every session. Or if for the drummers amongst you, I'd say Ludwig 402. Get out of jail every time.
Come on.
You can tune it up. You can tune it up. You can tune it down. You can make it sound like Bonham or Steve Gadd.
Yeah.
So there you go. Simple answer.
That's the one. Yeah.
Ludwig 402. Aluminium.
Yeah,
aluminium, not. I prefer the aluminium, not the chrome on brass. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice. Gonna go to an eBay after this.
Yeah.
Just go get it now. 5 is dream artist you love to either record or mix for. And I'm sure there are multiple. So I don't know.
I mean, again, that's an impossible question. Dream artists. I'll never get to work with them, but Radiohead are one of my favorite bands of all time. Yeah. You know, like, but you know, Nigel Godrich is the 5th member of the band. It'll never happen. I'm not even in their orbit. But I mean, there's so many. I went to see a woman called Madison Cunningham. At Shepherd's Bush Empire like a couple of weeks ago. I've seen her live 3 times. I love her records. She's amazing. Like her particularly the previous 2 albums, not the current one. The current one's a bit more kind of acoustic. But the previous 2 albums have always had really cool, interesting drums and drummers and drum parts and sounds. She's an amazing guitar player. Like really unusual rhythms, like some odd times. And the sounds of the drums on those records. So, and her voice, god damn, her voice is, you know, beautiful, beyond compare. Nice. So, Madison Cunningham. Yeah, there's always a couple.
Cool.
I mean, there's loads.
There's loads. Yeah. 6 is what plugins you normally use on your drum bus. If you want to share, you don't have to.
No, I can share. They don't all get used, but I basically have a template where, I mean, Pro Tools lets you have 10 plugins on a bus or a folder track. So I filled them all, and they're all kind of doing different things. So there's always some kind of saturation. So, you know, whatever you want to choose, you know, there's so many options available. Yeah. There's almost always an SSL bus compressor set up like I was talking about, like slow attack, fast release, 30 millisecond attack, 100 millisecond release, 4:1 ratio. I'm hitting it. That's kind of what my mix bus is doing as well. So I'm kind of doing that to the drums first to kind of give it that shape. Then I'll tell you what is amazing is Emre's plugin that he did.
Oh, mixed drums. Yeah, we talked about it.
It's astonishing. I mean, it's not so much a bus processor as a bus transformer. Do you know what I mean? If you want to make your drums do something different and creative, that's great. I can't recommend that highly enough. You just put that on, flick through the presets, find something that's in the ballpark and tweak it. It's a bit of a learning curve. It's not straightforward as to how it works. You know what I mean? But so that's on my mix bus, usually inactive because it's too extreme. Yeah. Unless I want it to be extreme. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Obviously, there's some kind of EQ, a bus EQ, you know.
Nice.
But, so yeah, I mean, it's cool. What everybody does: saturation, compression, EQ. You know, usually some kind of parallel. There's some parallel buses going on. I don't do anything different than anybody else, you know. And I learned that a while ago. You know, when I was assisting at Metropolis, it was like I remember looking at the SSL desks after engineers I'd assisted, you know, like Alan Mulder in particular, you know, and I stole a bunch of tricks from him to do with parallels and stuff. But like I would look at and it wasn't like there was no magic frequency he'd found for the kick drum. He was EQing everything in more or less the same way that I was. Yeah, but it's just the attention to detail, you know. So it's that much at that frequency, and you know, and it's obviously going to change every time with every song. But it's not like there was some secret that the pros have. Do you know what I mean? It was like he was doing a bit of parallel compression even back then, you know, analog. But there was no magic formula or secret frequency. Yeah.
None of that. Okay.
No, I'm doing what everybody else is doing basically. It's just attention to detail.
Nice. 7 is, are there any books or video tutorial that you would recommend or you found helpful in learning how to record drums?
I'm trying to think. In terms of recording drums, not specifically, no, because I kind of obviously learned that in the studios. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're like for recording drums, but I still watch Mix with the Masters or Pure Mix or whatever those things. And obviously, I mean, I've been doing this 30 years now, so, you know. But everybody has little tricks or uses a little plugin, you know. So I still steal ideas. So I'm sure that I would just say, like, don't try to be too fancy. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Do you know what I mean? Like, not so much with drums, but sometimes with like guitar miking, I'll get, you know, somebody's recorded, you know, whatever, someone sent it to me to mix, and they've got, you know, 5 mics on the guitar amp, and like none of them are in the right place. They all sound a bit wrong. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So you go, oh God, you've been reading too much sound on sound, or do you know what I mean? Like, or you know, people have recorded acoustic guitars in MS, you know, in some crappy room. You go, again, just one mic position right, you know. So again, all those photos you see of like normal standard mic placement, it's boring, I know, but there's a reason that it works most of the time. You know, I mean, you can get into exotic things like mic in the side of the shell and whatnot, you know.
Why? Why?
If it gives you something different, great. Sure. It'll create different problems.
True. 8 is, who's your inspiration when it comes to mixing or recording drums? I mean, mixing and recording in general, but like if we could focus on the drum aspect.
On drums, I mean, I think it depends what kind of genre you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so if you're talking like modern hard rock drums, like it's hard to beat Chris Lord-Alge. Do Do you know what I mean? American Idiot is great. Yeah, I mean, just in terms of like, if that's the modern rock template, and even stuff before. I mean, Chris Lord Alge, Tom Lord Alge, Andy Wallace, Rage Against the Machine and Nirvana. So if you're talking modern punchy hard rock drums, those guys. I mean, the interesting thing about American Idiot is, again, they've definitely got two kits going on. There's the and then it cuts to like just a kick drum, boof boof boof.
Yeah, just a kick.
Which is a completely different kick drum to the one that's in the kit.
All right.
Oh, have a listen. Yeah, it's like a kick drum, wide open kick drum in a room. It's so that's it feels like it's part of the kit, but I would lay money that's an overdub because it's a completely different kick sound. So things like that, but it's bold with it. It's great.
9 is best advice you've ever received.
Oh man, I think it's just like when you're training in studios, you have to know when you can actually contribute to the session and when some people say something just because they've read it or they want to feel like part of the session, or it's their ego speaking or something. So just know when to contribute and when to stay out the way.
Okay, nice. And 10 is worst advice you've ever received. Worst.
I don't know. That's a good
if there
one.
Is one. If there is one, if not.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. Worst advice.
That's fine.
I don't know.
If there is one advice you would give like someone that is starting out to record drums or mix drums or just say wants to do exactly what you do, what would you recommend? What's an advice you would give to someone that?
I think don't make it too complicated. If you're recording drums, then put the mics where you've seen everybody put them before. Don't try and reinvent the wheel if you're just starting out. And same when it comes to mixing. There's a lot of guys on the internet that go, you can sidechain this and that, and do this and multi-band this and process that, which you can absolutely. I mean, we have the tools now to really fuck up a drum recording if we want to. I would say a lot of it is balance and attention to detail and rides. So when something's not something simple, like your tom mics are going throughout the track, pull them down or get rid of the sections where they're not playing. Usually the problems with drum recording and drum mixing is a lot of the problems is spill. So like the amount of hi-hat and cymbals that are coming into the snare drum mic. Do you know what I mean? So dealing with that, and the more you compress and the more you multi-band or whatever, you can actually make the problem worse in a way. So don't overcomplicate things.
Great advice. Instead of just like doing crazy things like that, especially that the internet recommends.
I mean, sometimes I get sent sessions, Pro Tools sessions where people have, and it's started a mix. It's my job to, and oftentimes it's better when I take all their plugins off. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just a better place to start from. Trying to do too much,
Yeah. Is there any place where people can find you, reach you? Like, what's the best place where people want to get in touch?
Well, there's my website, which is www.adrian-hall.com.
Nice.
It's got my contact details on there and stuff. So if anybody wants to get in touch or chat and stuff, just drop me an email or whatever. It's totally fine. I'm always up for chatting about drums and recording.
Yeah. No, in fact, thanks so much, Adrian. It's been like an absolute pleasure.
Like, my pleasure.
Every time, literally every time. Like even last time I came by your studio, it was like I learned so much. So thanks
great.
For
same with me. I never stop learning. I'm stealing tricks from people. So all the time. So.
That's awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'll see you soon.
Really nice to chat to you, Chris.
All right.
Take care, man.